What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Now, today I want to take a look at a video of Bryce Crawford talking to a Muslim. Now, guys, you know I've been looking into Islam and everything, but I've also been looking into Christianity at the same time. I wouldn't call myself super religious at the moment, but I was in church today. And I definitely felt a sense of peace. Now, I felt that same kind of sense of peace at the mosque, so I don't know if that's God that I'm feeling, or just a connection with, like, the other people with me, because I was, like, with friends both times. So I don't know if that was just like a love that I was feeling or if that was something spiritual. But at the same time, I think Bryce Crawford is my favorite Christian. You could tell he's always full of love. He's always very respectful. So I think that this is going to be a really good conversation. Please hit subscribe to the channel if you have not already. 88% of you guys watching are not subscribed to the channel. So if you're part of that 88%, please hit the subscribe button because it helps it a lot. Like the video, share the video, and let's hop right into this.
I think a lot of my Muslim friends that I've talked to, all of them were raised Muslim. Was that the case for you? Were you raised Muslim?
Yes, no, I born Muslim.
And where are you originally from?
Egypt.
To be considered a devout Muslim, you would, from a basic understanding, you follow the 5 pillars of Islam. Fast, pray,
Right.
Give alms to the poor.
Right.
And that's one of the main things I respect about Islam and the Prophet Muhammad is he gives alms to the poor. And you pray. And from a Christian, I understand, as a Christian, I have a hard time praying sometimes. And I know that Christians can be some of the greediest people on the planet because I've seen it. So I respect that about the Prophet Muhammad. Another thing I respect about Islam as a whole is that it's just you and Allah. It's just you and God. That's it. That's just, I have so much respect for that. When I was reading the Quran in Surah 101, Allah weighs the good and the bad. When you look at those 5 pillars, giving alms to the poor, praying 5 times a day, these things that would mark a Muslim as a good, devout Muslim, these things would be considered good deeds that help the scale. Allah essentially weighs your good and your bad.
Right.
And if your good outweighs your bad, that's amazing.
Absolutely.
And if your bad outweighs your good, I believe the words in the English were your life is then like hell. I think is what it said. I could be wrong.
In the life is gonna be tough, for sure. If you do not take God's route and His commitment, it's gonna be tough. But and the hereafter is gonna be more tougher.
Yeah. And so, do you know as a Muslim if you're going to paradise?
The Muslim guaranteed if he turned God to God and he believed in only one God.
So would you say yourself that you're guaranteed going to paradise?
So we, according to God, He guaranteed for us if you're doing good and you return with God to Allah and die with no kufr, with no rejection, with no associate with God, another God, this is guaranteed for us. Who guaranteed it? Not me. But God, He guaranteed it for me, yes.
Right, yes. So I think that's kind of
Guys, I have a theory. What if Christians and Muslims are both tapped into the same God? They just have a different perspective of who that God is. Like, Christians think it's Jesus, Muslims think it's Allah. But what if it actually is the same entity, the same God? And what if you could feel that same peace being a Christian and a Muslim? You could feel that same peace praying to Jesus that you could feel praying to Allah, because you're still praying to the same being at the end of the day. Like, maybe God isn't just human interpretation, maybe you could feel God in multiple different ways with multiple different religions, because I felt peace in church, I felt peace in a mosque, same kind of feeling,
understanding. And I think,
and by the way, I'm sorry to cut you here, this is the same thing what Jesus said. Jesus said when He come, I just read it. You see the Quran today in the morning, and for just like 1 week ago I read that Jesus, some people said, oh master, how can I get to the kingdom? He said 2 things: believe in God and do good.
that's one of my issues, respectfully, with Islam. Is like when I talk to my Muslim friends, kind of like what you said. I said, so you for a fact know if you're going to paradise, and you said, well, like if we do these good things, Allah, He grants us that wish essentially, but we're not necessarily not for sure. You're not guaranteed because it motivates you to do good. And I think when I look at that. When I look at Islam, it's about the works. It's about doing the good.
Yes, sir.
And when I look at Christianity, and when I look at Jesus, because I believe Jesus is God, that scripture that you brought up in the Gospels, you had these religious guys, the Pharisees, and they were all about keeping the law. In the Old Testament, we believe that God gave 613 laws and 10 commandments to Moses, and Moses brought it down. And in order for you to be in right standing with God, obey the law. And if you messed up, sacrifice an animal, and it covers the atonement of your sins, blood, justice, everything. Well, when Jesus, I believe that Jesus is God, the Pharisees in that passage, they're trying to trip Jesus up. They're trying to catch him for blasphemy. And they say, which of these is the greatest laws? Because those religious leaders, they knew that you couldn't say one law was better than the other. And Jesus summarizes every single law under this one truth. Love the Lord your God with your whole heart, with your whole soul, with your whole mind, and with all of your strength. And so my first issue with Islam, my Muslim brothers that I know, they're working so hard to please Allah, but they never know if they're doing enough.
Just like any student, I get your point, but like any student who work all the day long or all the year long, he doesn't know he's gonna make it or not until he make the test and the results.
That's a really good analogy, actually, because I don't know, I was kind of apprehensive about the whole earning your way into heaven, like not knowing if you're going to heaven, but this is a really good analogy from the Muslim, saying it's almost like a student, you know, he doesn't know if he's going to pass the class, he just knows to work as hard as he can. I'm going to let him finish, but I think I know where he's going with this.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
So, but who about in the middle or before?
Let me just replay that.
Until he make the test and the result comes.
Exactly, he doesn't know if he's going to pass the test until he takes that test and gets his grade back. Yeah, okay. Muslim just kind of cooked there. That's a really good analogy.
It does make sense.
Yeah.
So, but who about in the middle or before?
I like the Muslim point of view that life is kind of like a test. Like, you have your own free will, and God is gonna see what you do with that free will. Are you gonna choose to be a good person, or are you gonna choose to fall into sin? I really do love that idea that life is a test, because I think that it is a test at the end of the day. I think it's a test of character. It's a test. God will give you gifts and then test to see if you use those gifts properly. He'll give you gift, say, to speak and to influence people. Do you use that ability to speak and influence people in a good way? Or do you push degenerate behavior? You know, do you talk about God? Do you glorify God, or do you promote degeneracy, right? Like, God gives you the gift of influencing as a test to see if you're going to use it or not. And it could be the gift of anything. He could give you the gift of leadership, for example, to see if you're going to lead in a proper way. So I do think a lot of life is a test.
Before the test or before the exam, that you said, you know what, I got it, I'm fine, I'm gonna do this, and suddenly you go to the test and you cannot answer anything and you fail. So here is kind of respect to the will of God. I do not, okay, the judge is a judge, God is a God. He is the one in the final. He said, you are gonna pass to the judge or not, according to your work. How about if I make a lot of work, but it's hypocrisy work? How about if I pray for the people to say, oh, mashallah, he's a good guy, and he bring God. Or I donate, oh, he's a generous guy. Or I'm making pilgrimage, oh, it's Mr. Hajj.
Yeah.
So the work you're going to do, it's going to have 100% tension for God only, and you don't assist with him. So what I'm saying, Islam actually presenting the right case, that you work hard, as long as you take God's field, and you know his straight path, you know you follow his commitment, and even the Ten Commandments you just for Moses is still part of the Islam, and you're gonna guarantee the paradise. Do I have to tell you this? He said, if you do that, you're gonna be under paradise.
When I asked my Muslim brothers, they never know if they're doing enough. When I ask them, I say, are you confident? And they kind of say the same thing you do. They say, well, I don't know, it's by the grace of Allah. You know, if Allah's grace, He lets me in, but it's up to their good deeds that put them in right standing with God. They work, and their deeds put them in right standing with God. So I grew up in Georgia. In the South, Christianity is a very prominent religion, but I hated Christianity. I hated the God of Christianity because there were pastors in my community that were telling me what to do with my life, and they would do the total opposite of what they were telling me to do. Hypocrites.
That's what I'm.
Did not like it. And so I hated Christianity. I hated anything to do with it.
Don't say that.
Originally I did. You're okay. I did. I have to be honest. So I grew up, went to school. In the 8th grade, I got severe depression and anxiety. I was depressed and anxious all the time. And it felt like an incurable disease for years. So when I was 17, I started to research all of these religions. Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam. And a lot of people told me, you just need religious structure in your life and things will be good. So I was researching religions, trying to figure out maybe if I have structure in my life, my depression and anxiety would go away. Well, as I researched, I was confused because they're all different. You have Hinduism and Buddhism, they all worship thousands of gods. And they're all just trying to reach enlightenment. But the Hindus in particular, they believe in reincarnation. So they believe you get a bunch of tries. And to me, if you get a bunch of tries, your life has no purpose. Then I look at Islam. And like we were talking about earlier, it's like Allah always your good and your bad. And all of these religions, aside from Christianity, it was like God was on the top of the mountain. And I was climbing the mountain trying to get to God. So in Islam, do good deeds. Climb the mountain. Climb the mountain. In Hinduism, better build a good dharma. Don't get karma, because karma makes you a bad guy. So don't do it. And it was climbing the mountain. And I tried to fix my depression and anxiety on my own, and it never worked. So there was a night where I said, if I can't fix the hole in my heart, would you agree we live in an evil world? A broken world? If in the broken world, evil world, I can't fix my broken heart, then I thought, how could I ever work to perfection? To me, it seemed impossible. So on December 25th of 2020, I was going to take my life because I was tired of my depression and anxiety. I went to go have my last meal. I had an encounter with Jesus Christ inside of this Waffle House. And he spoke to me when I was inside of Waffle House. And I cried, and he stopped me from taking my life. And so I went into my truck, and I said, okay, Jesus. I asked Jesus. That's what came out of my mouth. I didn't say Allah. I didn't say Gandhi. I didn't say Prophet Muhammad. I didn't cry out to anyone. I said, Jesus, if you are real, take away my anxiety and depression. And he took it.
Well, beautiful effort, Bryce. Keep studying the Bible. You know where you're going to end? You're going to end here in Islam next to me. He's never say I'm God or anything like that. I probably hear this from, but let me tell you from the whole idea about the crucifixion, that somebody have to come and die for.
Also, there are Christians that don't believe that Jesus is God, I'm pretty sure. Right? There's Christians that believe that Jesus was sent by God, kind of like Muslims do. I don't really know too much about that, but guys, I might end it here soon because it is a pretty long video. I don't know if we'll finish this whole thing.
Just give me the opportunity that I can listen to you. The whole crucifixion sending wrong message to humanity or the creation of God. Why? In the end of it, people call the Christianity or whole Christianity that God, he killed God to satisfy God. Can you tell me where the beast in the land after Jesus Christ being killed or crucified according to Christianity? The crucifixion, what the crucifixion wisdom can best to humanity? That someone innocent, he died because a bunch of criminal, and because God, he can forgive me without killing his own pure son. So if God, he cannot enforce the fair and justice. The fair and justice in the whole incident is not a clicked here. What so significant from Adam to the day of judgment, Jesus come in the middle. Do you believe God is fair and just or not?
I do.
Why? God, he doesn't send Jesus immediately after Adam, he make his sin, and he said, you guys, Adam and son of Adam and coming over, you guys terrible, you're making a lot of sin, you're making a lot of killing and this is my son, I'm gonna kill him for everybody. This is fair and just, right? Or he gonna wait, hold Jesus until the day of judgment, after the whole Adam tribes come and died, and he said, okay, the result after long life, I found you guys terrible, you're making sin, you disobey me, this is my son right there, I'm gonna sacrifice for him. It's not fair and just for God. Why you choose in the middle of the time? And what about the people that didn't hear about Jesus before? Don't tell me how they gonna get judged according to what? Don't tell me about the prophet. Because right now you, to believe in Jesus, you're gonna get saved. They have to follow the prophet. This is absolutely two different way of judging the people. Keep studying. And you're gonna end here, I swear to God, not 2-3 years, you're gonna end here, probably my imam, and I'm praying behind you. I give you 2 years. If you study the same enthusiastic and same activity about Jesus and nature of Jesus, by God, you're going to be Muslim. Because Islam, you cannot understand what happened for Jesus until you read the Islamic perspective. You know, Jesus, he said in Matthew 22:7. Go check this this verses. You know what he said? In that day. Which day? The day he's going to return. Because we believe as a Muslim, he's going to return. A lot of people, they're going to go to him and say, oh God, by your name we take the devils out. By your name we cure the people. By your name we make a lot of miracles. You know what he's going to tell you? Get away
Depart from me. I never knew you.
You know what? Because you make him God.
Well,
that's a good point. So because you misinterpreted, he's going to say, why did you worship me and not God? Like, I came here to earth to tell you about God, but yet you mistakenly worship me instead of God. That's the argument that the Muslim's making.
you said the reason he says that is because he's saying, yeah, because I'm not God. That's the reason that you said. That's why you brought that scripture up. And then you even brought up, you said, well, Jesus comes in the middle, so all the people before, what about them? Because now, after Jesus is a Christian, you're right, my faith's in Jesus. Jesus saves me. Those people that you say, well, what about them before Jesus? Or Jesus says, depart from me because he's not God. It's all about faith. Hebrews 11 in the New Testament, he says, look at Abraham, Isaac, Moses. He even mentions this woman named Rahab, which in the Old Testament, she's a prostitute. What in the world? And he says, look, all these people, yeah, they obeyed the law. But the reason they obeyed was because they had faith. And they're all justified by what? Their faith. And it flows into Hebrews 12. Hebrews 12 verse 2, where he says, and we look to Jesus Christ as the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross. Meaning the reason Jesus Christ, I believe that he truly was sacrificed, was he looked at me. Because you mentioned also, you said, well, God doesn't need to die for himself to forgive me. He just forgives me. And in Islam, that's true. You're right. Allah just forgives you. But the sacrifice was necessary. Because as a just God, like a judge, God forbid, if I were to stab you right now, I'd get arrested. And I'd go on trial. And the judge would look at me and he'd say, man, you stabbed Tariq. You injured him. You deserve jail time. That's just the truth. I deserve to be punished. And I deserve my punishment because of my sin. But the reason I'm justified isn't because I pray 5 times a day as a Christian, or I fast, or I give alms to the poor. The reason that Abraham, Isaac, Rahab, they obeyed the law wasn't because, oh, if I do enough, God's going to let me into heaven. It's no, I did it out of love. The same way Jesus, it was all about love.
So what after, continue this, I love the example you bring it up. Let's say,
I love Bryce Crawford. He's probably like one of my favorite Christians, to be honest, if not my favorite Christian. Then you could tell that like it's all out of love, like the way he talks. Like he almost kind of is. A lot of Christians say like, oh, the best way to be a Christian is to live like Jesus and to live like Jesus would. I think if anybody represents that good, from what I've seen, it's Bryce Crawford. Bringing the peace of what Jesus taught. So, I don't know. I think that there's arguments for Christianity too. I know a lot of you guys that watch me are Muslims. I know I got Christians too. I've been going to church recently. I've been singing the worship songs with my friends. It's a good environment. It really is. So, I don't know. I don't think you should ever close yourself off to anything, you know? Unless it's Satanism. Close yourself off to Satanism, because that's garbage. Okay, study every single religion. Not Satanism, though. we do not need that. We don't need that.
say I am the judge. You the one stab Osama.
Sure.
Okay? And you kill him. And I'm a judge. I'm so mercy. I love you so much. I know probably your best was hard a little bit. He make you this kind of a criminal. Probably you was Mexican. I gonna figure any kind of excuse to set you free. And guess what? I'm the judge. I said, you know what, Bryce? I love you. I understand about your past. Probably you don't mean to kill him and all this stuff. I have some mercy on you. Let me bring my son from the house, and I'm gonna, because you deserve the death penalty, I'm gonna kill him instead of you. I'm gonna put you. What that gonna enforce the fair and justice? What gonna show is mercy to bring innocent one or even part of me to replace you? Don't tell me because God He loved the world. God He can love the world with no blood of Jesus Christ. God He the king. He can forgive, and this is what Islam said. All you have to do, just ask him for forgiveness, and God is the most merciful, the only merciful. He have a mercy,
Yeah.
tons. He just, all you have to do, just ask for it.
But Jesus Christ being God. You talk about, Bryce, when you read the Quran, just separate everything that you know and humble yourself. Jesus Christ, I believe He's God. He didn't have to do anything for me. I deserved it. I just messed.
Bryce isn't really answering what he said here, I don't think. He's saying that, why does that make sense? That was a really good analogy he said too. Like, why would he send his son to die for you if you committed? Like, it just the whole story doesn't really make sense. So I think the Muslims making some great points, but I also think Bryce makes some good points too.
I messed up. I'm sinful. I deserved it. And I know you say love, but it just is. He humbled Himself. Jesus doesn't just tell me, Bryce, obey the law and do it, and that's just it. He humbled Himself. Jesus says, I didn't come to be served, but to serve. I came to show you how to live it. And then in Matthew 22, He says, depart from me, I never knew you, to those who say, well, you casted out demons, we cast out demons in your name, we prophesied in your name, we healed. He's not saying that because He's not God. He's saying, depart from me, because He's saying, it's not because you do good things that get you into heaven. It's because you love me. It's because you put your faith and trust in me. Do you watch basketball? Let's go to the Los Angeles Lakers game and sit courtside. And we got courtside tickets, Tariq. And we go down to security and you say, we're sitting courtside. And security's going to stop you right there and say, you can't get over there. Why should I let you in? Now, when I ask college students that have no faith, well, if you died right now, why should you go to heaven? They say, well, I'm a good person. I do good things. Or I love people, I'm a good person. That's what I hear. Regardless of what you believe, that's what I hear. The security guard's not going to say, Tariq, I'm not letting you in there because you're a good person. It's because you got tickets. It was given to you. I gave you the tickets.
So Jesus is the ticket. Okay. Guys, these are some really good points from both sides, I'm not going to lie.
Jesus Christ humbles Himself, lives a perfect life, dies on the cross for the sins of the world. So it's not that there's no mercy, or it's not that the justice isn't served. The justice is served. But why would an innocent man take the punishment of a guilty man? Love.
The time is prayer is already coming. But
that was a W conversation on both ends. I'm going to be absolutely honest. That was full of love, full of respect. And hopefully that makes some people think out there. I want to challenge you. Okay, if you're a Muslim, think about this conversation and think about Christianity. Consider it. Consider the arguments in this video. If you are a Christian, consider the arguments of the Muslim. As for me, I'm considering both of them because they both have grounds to stand on and they both make good points. But I really like this. It was very respectful. And you can tell that they're both coming from a place of love. So, guys, really good video. I know it's kind of a long one. If you watched this far, chances are you're going to want to subscribe to my channel because, chances are you'll probably like the content on here. If you watch for, 22 minutes, no edits, God bless. Hit the like button, comment what you think about this down below. And, yeah, have a blessed rest of your day. God bless everybody, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, everybody.